Hi, this is Pat McDonald, your host for Vote for Vermont, where our tagline is listening beyond the soundbite. A little bit different show tonight. Hope I'm ready for it, gentlemen. Our guests are the folks that work here in ORCA. Rob Chapman is the executive director for ORCA. And a new employee who I have not had the opportunity to talk to too often is Christopher Viersma.
That's
Did I
right.
do
Yeah.
good? Thank you. Chris is the Community Engagement Manager for ORCA, new position, so we're going to talk about that today. And the reason we're doing this show is that I was asked to testify in front of the Appropriations Committee a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how that went, but they were looking for funding. This is public access, which means it's funded primarily by the public. And we want you to know the services here are endless. And I even learned some stuff after being in this studio for 7 years, or a studio anyway. This is the second studio. What you can take advantage of here, and I want you to know that. Businesses who maybe have training programs that they want to videotape and show to their employees, here it is. You'll hear all about this. So I'm going to stop talking now. I know it's hard, but I'm going to do it. You guys have me all revved up tonight. This is going to be quite the show. I'm excited. Anyway, Rob, you want to start and just talk about yourself?
Sure. I mean, we can just be quiet and let you talk for the entire time.
I can do that. Don't.
And just to your first point about how we got on this topic, the testimony that you did, it's going really well in the State House. They actually did approve in the House Committee on Appropriations the $300,000 that we'd asked for the budget adjustment, and now we're into the $600,000 that we're asking for. And this is largely due to the fact that, and as you sort of touched on, most of our revenue comes from cable subscribers. Right. So if you are a cable subscriber, you'll see at the bottom of your cable the public access fee. That's the money that comes to ORCA. And as people are starting to drop cable and move to other streaming services, we're starting to see a decrease in funding. So it's based on a percentage of the cable revenue, and if there are less cable subscribers, then there's less money for ORCA. So we're looking at ways to diversify our funding, and one of the things that has been coming up is you should go to the legislature and ask, and because we serve an important role in the community. ORCA is a little bit unique in the fact that the State House sits in our service area.
Right.
So we do a lot of coverage from the State House that is shown across the state. So. Right. I think it's been, first of all, it's been great. The legislators really sort of understand and appreciate the services that we do, the value that we add to our communities. Yep. Even many of them serve on their local municipal boards and school boards. So they all know that. So, and obviously, it was very much appreciated that you did step up.
Well, I enjoy it. Give me a mic. But it's very worthwhile. I mean, and I don't think, as we were going to talk about in the show, you offer so many things here. You've got talented people who know what the heck they're doing, who will help you put together a show. I should say my mother was one of the dancers in the Our Gang comedy, Let's Put On a Show.
Oh, yeah?
And these little, that was my mom. And just when I said that, let's put on a show, it just reminded me of that. But that's what you do here. You help people get through that stuff. So
yeah, it's funny, in some of our staff conversations, I've talked about, and even with the board, strategic planning, I talk about, there could be identified sort of even 5 or 6 different mission statements. It could be, we are a freedom of speech organization, or we're an information service for your local government. We help promote arts and culture in the community. We're a training facility, so people who want to be able to come and talk to their community. Right. And all of those things in and of itself could be its own nonprofit. So
for sure.
We do a lot of things here, and it's short staff. We're a small staff. It's not a big budget, and we have 4 full-time employees and a lot of part-time employees who go out, and the ones that are out there with the cameras in the field and going out there and shooting. So.
Well, I know you're always at the State House covering something or other, and we'll get to it. But if as an individual you want an event covered, you just call and work arrangements with Rob or whomever, if you have staff, to cover it.
Well, actually, if you get a call, we're going to send you right to our website where there's a link.
Oh, a new form.
A form for
a
request for event coverage.
I'm calling you, Rob.
We
7 years has got to give me something.
Absolutely. We know that Pat's coming to do her show.
Exactly.
But if you have an event that's happening in the community that you'd like to have covered, whatever it might be, there's just a form on our website where you can that's what we're going to point you to, because that way it gets into our system that we're trying to create that sort of gets through it, because we do so much. I mean,
you do.
looking at the numbers today, I was just astounded by how much that Zach and Jen and the crew here do.
Yep.
In, sometimes it's 20 pieces of video from the State House a day that we're doing.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
You need more staff. Can I put that in the request too?
Absolutely. So we are always looking. So if you want to
Yes.
come and help out, there's you can just send an email to jobs@orcamedia.net.
Good.
And so
Cool.
if you're interested in helping out, and we don't pay a lot, but we do.
Helping out like working?
Yeah. We're always looking for camera operators to go out.
Oh, no
Yeah.
kidding. That'd be fun.
And we train. So if you don't have any background in video production, we will help train. It's part of what our mission is and what we do. So
Wouldn't people be surprised if they saw me out? That'd be fun. I love it. Now, I think that you're getting all this money because we did say that we interview all the candidates, which we did last election cycle. We were giving half hour and an hour for statewide positions and a half hour for the House and the Senate. And I dragged out those questions, and they're all still relevant.
Yeah.
The economy, it's all like, come on, people.
yeah.
This is the same questions anyway. So, Christopher, tell us a little bit about you and what that fancy title is all about. Community Engagement Manager. Very nice.
Sure. So my name is Christopher Viersma. I'm the Community Engagement Manager here at ORCA Media. And yeah, so I've been involved with ORCA Media since 2015. And
Where have you been?
Yeah, well, I was a camera operator, just like Rob's talking about. I've helped out with a number of things over the years, and then I went and worked for Channel 17 Town Meeting TV in Burlington.
Right.
And then my family and I were from the Midwest, so we've been bouncing back and forth. And we came back to Vermont, and so I've been doing this position, since the fall, last year. So
Nice.
yeah, so the idea is that I am really personally interested in media arts education. So I've been taking the lead on the youth media programs
I saw that
we're doing.
on your emails, and I
Okay,
was going to
yeah.
ask you about that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of my focus. My focus has also been on building our community partnerships, just like you're saying, whether
Right.
it's like a local nonprofit organization or the local schools. I've been working with a handful of teachers that have reached out to
Right.
us about coming into the classes and doing what is called like in-school residencies.
Nice.
I've been also, as of the last few weeks, I've been acting as a mentor through the community-based learning program at Montpelier High School.
Yep.
So I do like a one-on-one 10-week mentorship
Great.
that students come, and we're about to start another one next week. So yeah, staying
And
busy.
that gets them to, do they work here?
They work here, and
Oh, excellent.
I facilitate a project that they take the lead on, and and we like I said, my interest is documentary and media art. So what our focus has been on looking at a social issue or a local issue that the student can go out in the community and
Great.
take cameras out. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, because to me, it's always, depends on who the audience is tonight, but for me, maybe you should expand it on your website, hint, hint, but to attract for-profits, because they have funding, and they could come in and use this for training. And I know a lot of times in state government, there are opportunities to train and have it distributed throughout the state employees. And there's a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely. Part of the reason we brought Christopher on was to be able to have that face out there in the community that could spend his time really focusing on bringing people in, letting them know the services that we provide. And that could be, local businesses who, first of all, a caveat, it's supposed to be non-commercial. So we're non-commercial.
Right,
so
right.
it's not like we produce commercials, but we could profile businesses.
Right.
So if you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing with your business, some of the good work that you're doing.
Yeah.
I know that what was the name of the solar company?
Suncommon.
Suncommon
Oh,
did it.
Suncommon, that's a
Yeah.
great company.
They brought some support in for the youth programming that we did this past summer. So just being able to partner with people and letting them know that they can be a part of what the work and the mission of ORCA Media It's been really a goal of ours for some time. And
great.
you know, as we look at diversifying our funding, it's an important step in just trying to understand.
Are there restrictions on how you can fund and I mean, what you can ask? I mean, can you just go knock, knock, hello, I need money?
Sure.
Oh, can you? Oh, you can.
Yeah. It's a nonprofit. We're a 501c3. It's all tax deductible. So, you know, we could accept donations, you know, that are people who believe and support ORCA Media's mission.
Oh, we got to get the word out.
Yeah. You know, it's, as I was saying earlier, you know, as we look to the future, as people begin to move from cable subscriber based content thing, how do we maintain and make sure that ORCA Media and the other access centers across the state are still here to serve that important role in our community that we're doing? You know, it's like that access to information. You know, in the last 2 years with the pandemic, we've realized just how important a role we can play because people who may not be able to get to the State House.
Yep.
You know, one of the best things that we've been able to do is to be able to bring the governor's weekly press conferences.
Yep.
You know, when he first did it, it was 3 times a week, and then it became 2. Now he's doing it weekly. But the benefit of being able to for people who may live in the southern part of the state, you know, to be able to listen and get up here, the accessibility to what's happening in the legislature. People are able to tune in and not have to make the 2 or 3 hour drive to get here to Montpelier to do it. So it's.
I love the Zoom meetings with the legislature because when it's just regular sessions at the State House, maybe, you know, you can get 10, 15 people in those rooms. Now there's up to 40, 50, 60 people listening in. On the testimony, and some of that stuff, I've been following the ethics bill lately and doing some testifying and that sort of stuff, and I don't know that I'd be able to do it with all the people that are participating. Where do they stay at the State House? You know, it just brings your legislature to you.
And that's great. What, you know, that's sort of the mission of ORCA is utilizing the telecommunications technology to connect the community, to be able to get the information so you can have that dialogue, even though you may not be able to make it to the State House or make it to your local select board meeting, so that you know what's going on. And that's an important role in democracy.
And I'll publicly thank, I'm going to sneeze in a second, publicly thank Zach and Jen. They set it up so we could do part Zoom and part in studio, which is great. And sometimes Ben and I, who's would be here tonight, but I'm going to tell it on air. You know what he's doing? I love this guy. He's been up in New Hampshire. He's going to kill me for saying this. He's learning how to be certified in avalanche survival.
Oh, wonderful.
That's great.
I mean, where does that come into your head? Oh, I want to do avalanche survival today. What? That's not on my bucket list. But he's having a ball. And it's a 2-day survival thing.
I grew up in Stowe, and the Stowe Rescue Squad that has to deal with the mountain and getting people off the mountain. God bless them.
So I told them, I said, just hang on to that buzzer. Wherever you are, hang on to the buzzer so they can find you.
You know, they're a crack team that gets up there and can really deal with some
I mean, who would think to do something like that? I think it's really cool.
Ben,
so that's my partner.
Yeah, that's right. We have a ton of equipment that if you just, you know, contact us or come on in and see what we've got. We'll train. Yeah, we offer, you know, one-on-one, what we call like a community producer training orientation, and I've been facilitating some of those as of lately. And and we have a variety of, you know, prosumer cameras, cinema cameras, DSLR cameras, and audio production equipment as well.
Excellent. That's great.
It's one of the things that we're talking about is like, when people think of ORCA Media, they often think of like, oh, that's where I go to watch the select board or watch the State House. But we're trying to let people know more about the services that we can provide to people to make their own show.
Right. Well, that's what I was thinking about businesses. I mean, what an ideal thing. They don't have to invest in, and they don't have to use an office in their building. It's all here. Lighting's correct. You know, I love it.
It's and we're interested in whatever idea you might have. You know, some of the, whether it's a talk show, which is one of the easier ones to just come in and talk in the studio, or if you want to make your own film, or you have a particular topic that you want to get talked about in the studio, you know, or you want to do a music video with your friends, you know, that's all.
TikTok. I'm learning all sorts of new things.
Are you on TikTok?
No, I have my friend Jennifer, who's on the show with me, who did the Mrs. Claus thing. She's on TikTok. She's on TikTok all the time.
You know, that's part of the transition we're trying to look at, is how do the younger generation really consume their media. You know, don't typically go to cable. They go to the devices. And so
Yeah.
I'm on TikTok because my daughters are on
There you
TikTok, and
go.
I'm learning how to use it. And it's kind of fun.
I'm learning how to do one of those dances that they're doing.
My daughter tried to
You know,
teach me
the
one of those.
sun
It
goes
didn't
up. I'm
go
learning
well.
how to do that. I'm going to do my own TikTok. Send it to Jennifer. Blow her mind. Anyway, so let's chat about the services. On your website, you've got 6 topics, or 5. Become a producer, so whoever can jump in and talk about that.
Yeah, so that's like we were saying, you know, becoming a community producer is it's pretty easy. It's really like first come, first serve. You know, you reach out to us, and if we have cameras available at the time that you need them, depending on what you want to do, kind of
Right.
we talk you through what you want to do. Sometimes it's a protest that's happening downtown, and you want to get a camera that day
Right.
and go cover it for the group that you're with, and get it up on the air. Sometimes it's something that you like a concert, and you need a little
Right.
bit more guidance technically, what you might want
Right.
access to. And then sometimes it's maybe something even more elaborate, like you want to create a short piece and you want to edit and work on something with our.
And you'll edit it they'll go out and videotape and bring it back, and your staff
We want
will
to
edit
get
it,
them
or-
involved in the process and teach them so that they can continue to do that. So, the idea is that we provide the support, some limited editing, but really we want to get them doing it
great.
themselves. And that's
Great. So the other topic you have is nonprofit organizations, which need a lot of attention drawn to them for the good works that they do, and we have quite a few here in Vermont. And
in Montpelier alone, when I look at how many there are.
do you know, years ago there was it's not in existence anymore, it was a nonprofit association, 4,000 nonprofits back, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. So heaven only knows what we've got now.
Wow.
But they're all fighting over a limited amount of money, and they're all doing wonderful things, and they need to get their voice out. And what's really cool about, not that COVID's cool, but apparently people have become more generous in COVID than they did previously, because they can relate. We're all in this together, and they can relate when people are not coming into the restaurant, or they're not supporting your organization or not, and they're actually becoming more generous,
Right.
which is a very nice thing to know.
So the nonprofit part of it is just
Yeah.
the ability for us to work with nonprofits who may want to produce a short video that talks about their mission or about the services that they
Right.
provide, or just a profile on them. So,
That's great.
we are a nonprofit. We want to help other nonprofits, so that ability for them to come to us and say, how do we effectively tell our story? And we will say, let's put our minds, and pull out some of the staff who have
great.
experience in filmmaking and writing. So that's a service that we'd like to make
You
sure
would
that
help
people-
them write, I mean, really from scratch, just
Yeah,
write
why
the
not?
show?
Help with pre-production. I mean, that's part of it, is that you
didn't
kind
think
of
about that.
imagine what you're going to do,
Yeah.
and if we've got the capacity, I think that absolutely we could help out, in every way, decide
Yeah.
what's
That's
right.
exciting.
It's an often overlooked, the writing part of
Right.
it. And really what we're getting down to is telling stories. And whatever medium you're doing, and that all
Right.
begins with a good story, a well-written story. So
Right.
you're absolutely right to correct to point out that that's a place where
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and you mentioned TikTok,
Yeah.
and social media. I think that there's a lot of nonprofits that are relying even more on that
Yeah.
kind of like engagement through social media. So maybe they want to come in and make like a higher end video that they're going to then take and make like a 30-second version of.
That's
so
great.
yeah, we can kind of guide them through that.
All right, so you just mentioned 30 seconds. I'm off script here, for sure. But what is your experience in how long what their attention span is? Is it
Right.
30 seconds?
Yeah.
I know in this show it's not an hour. It's just not, you have to be like passionate about the
Yeah.
issue. And so I try to have it in little chunks, so that if people, especially if like for campaigns,
Sure.
that you could break it down into little nodules, so like a 30-second this or whatever.
That's a good approach.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this in the other room actually, and in my experience working with young people, I think that when you've actually got your hands on something and you're making something and you're more passionate about it,
Right.
you might tend to like overproduce it, and it might be a 10-minute piece that
Yeah.
you want to keep every minute of it. So I've often tried to encourage people to get it down to a minute. and then you end up with 3 minutes. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as attention span,
Because you can actually say a lot. I've come to
Oh yeah.
in a minute, or like the legislature will say you have 2 minutes. Like 2 minutes, but if you really focus, you can say a lot in 2
Yeah.
minutes. You don't realize what kind of time that is, but
And being concise is a great way. And I think that, I don't know what the attention span is, but I know it's getting shorter.
yeah, that's the truth.
So if you can be concise and succinct in what you're trying to do and get your points and get it to the bullet points that are
Right.
really important, then you've done a great
That's
job.
great.
And we love short pieces because we have 24 hours to fill, and say we have a 3-hour municipal meeting or,
Right.
or a public event or something. It's like there's always spaces between that we want to fill in with 2 minutes or 30 seconds. So
right.
if you make something and
Yep.
you want to stick it in there, it's going to play maybe
Yeah.
more often too.
Interesting.
And Christopher's specifically talking about the cable channels. that
On
we
the,
run.
on the channels, yeah. That's
And
right.
we do, I mean, that's primarily, we are a cable-based, product. We were born with cable, and it really is the 3 channels that is primarily our distribution. Although, I wanted to add that we do distribute online. We have our YouTube channel.
Right.
And that's something that we can also help nonprofits with. Is to,
Yeah.
if you're thinking about, having a video presence on your website or on a
Right.
YouTube channel,
Right.
that's an area.
We
that
get a lot of because we're associated with Campaign for Vermont, and we have a lot of people signed up for Campaign for Vermont. We get on the website. We get a lot of. That's where we get the most response. The one thing would be really great if someday you could count heads, but I know you can't. You can count number of stations that show your
Yeah.
product, but you can't say how many people are watching.
Not with the
yet.
cable channels, but with the YouTube channel.
Yes,
and
right,
you
that
are
keeps
seeing
track.
numbers. I mean, I'm still trying to understand Google Analytics and just what exactly do the terms mean and how do you identify. But certainly you can see, when you get in
A couple of hundred people.
couple
or-
hundred people,
right.
you're doing
Yeah.
a good job. And it's not typically what we're looking for. I mean, we do sort of targeted meetings. So if a municipal meeting gets 5 people watching it, it's still the 5 people who have something that's a business in front of them. So it's
Right.
accessibility to information. But yeah, it's a nonprofit or a business would want to be able
Right.
to say, how much impact are we making? And so those numbers can really come from online distribution. But
Yeah.
you're absolutely correct with the cable channel.
Right.
Because we're non-commercial, nobody's setting commercial rates for us. There's no Nielsen ratings that people are looking at us so that we can establish
Right.
rates for advertising.
We should.
Yeah.
We should do fundraisers. I would help you with that. I like fundraisers. So next one on the list is youth media. So we're back to you. I don't know how much we've covered. If there's more to talk about, there
Oh
probably
yeah,
is.
there's a lot. Yeah, so we just launched our summer 2022 programs that we're doing this
Great.
year. So this will be the second year of the Vermont Youth Documentary Lab project, which is working with youth ages 15 to 19, and so that's focusing on nonfiction storytelling, documentary, social justice.
Could we do a show on my show about it?
Sure,
Interview
yeah.
the kids?
We
the
could,
young people
yeah.
at that age, they're young people, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We can
Yeah, kids.
bring in. We have some really some great young filmmakers and
Great.
media artists, and so yeah, that's taking place this summer. We just
Nice.
launched the information and the registration for that, and then for the 11 to 14-year-olds, we're doing a Make TV camp. So it's right here in the studio.
Oh,
and that's going to
fun.
be a week long, and they're going to learn what Zach is doing right now, and they're going to learn the ins and outs and what you're doing. They'll be able to kind of spend the week producing a couple in-studio
Nice.
shows. So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, sign us up. That sounds like fun. I'd have to come back from Maine, but for this, I'd do it. That's cool. Bring some. So let's talk about. There's just so much stuff. I was looking at the list of shows. Bill Doyle is you just running older episodes, or he's not actually doing.
No.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. I mean, Bill is now into his mid-90s now, I think.
Yeah, but he's honest. I understand. I haven't seen him in a little while, but he's still sharp as a tack.
Yeah. I think most of it's physically.
It's just his-
hard for him to stand now.
Yeah.
So it's, when you get to a point where you can't stand,
Yeah.
you're pretty much into the bed. So his mobility is really limiting his ability
Yeah.
to get around. So he hasn't been in the studio for a few years now, but he was a big part of ORCA Media
Oh,
for
for
so
sure.
many years.
And on your board, correct?
He was on the board. He served on the
yeah.
board for many years. He was a big advocate for ORCA Media, an ambassador to the State House.
Right.
And he did a regular talk show and just on Vermont issues. I remember when I first got involved in public access in the early 90s, I got to meet him because he had to come to Burlington. I was working at the Burlington station then. And Bill came in and he taped a show there. So I got to meet him in the early 90s. And then when I came to become executive director of ORCA, it was Bill was there. And he's just an amazing man who is just he is forthcoming. He cares about people. He wants to know what their stories are. So, it was a perfect venue for him to just sort of talk to anybody.
I loved him.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
He would do, I understand, like Fridays, 5 shows back to back.
We had
If
a
I
term that we used. It was called Doyle-a-thon.
I'd be exhausted.
Yeah.
They'd have to cart me
Yeah.
out of here.
Yeah.
I can do 2. I think we did 2 one time, and that was it
Yeah.
for me. But that's just a lot of energy.
And everybody in the state legislature knew Bill.
Oh, for
From his
sure.
teaching up at Johnson,
Right.
from his work as a senator. So he would bring in people who may never have been in ORCA. So we, all of a sudden, Bill's coming in. Who's his guest today? Oh, the governor.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Okay. Let's straighten up the place a little bit or something like that. So.
Yeah, well, he used to use all of us to teach his to teach his classes.
Yeah.
Because I used to go up every couple times a year to teach a class, and it was all political. So, you just what do you do, and whatever position I had in state government, you just sit and talk and.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart, and it's just
the
wonderful time
knowledge
to
of that
spend
man
time
is incredible.
talking with him is just a
Yeah.
pleasure.
I think that's kind of says a lot about, like even what I've noticed since 2015 being involved with ORCA Media is that we have a lot of community members that really love and are advocates for ORCA Media, and
Right.
they know, and have kind of expanded our reach because of people like that.
Yeah, no, that's well. He truly lives it, breathes it, walks the walk, talks the talk.
Yeah.
He's really great. Because I was just looking at all the. I'm not going to read them, so don't panic. But it covers the libraries. A couple of the libraries are on here. You obviously do local government, school boards, all thing LGBTQIA.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I forgot. I had it down the other day. I was yelling at Keith.
You've
I
gone
said,
further than I can.
Quit changing it. I got the LGBTQ, but it's IA plus. That's it.
Is it? Is that it? 'Cause
That's
I usually
it.
stop
I know,
at
that's
the
it.
T.
Bear Pond Books, and I love that you've done. There's a couple of shows about the Indians here in Vermont, which
Yeah.
I love those shows. And I've had one of the chiefs of one of the tribes on my show a couple of times, and I promised him I was going to do a show on their language, which is being taught in Middlebury College,
Oh,
believe it or
interesting.
not.
Abenaki language.
Yeah, Abenaki. Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing,
So
yeah.
I just want to have him back on. But, I mean, it goes on forever. Oh, and there's Vote for Vermont. That's us. And what I think the Vermont Council on Rural Development, that's something people should know what's going on here to maintain our rural landscape. And so you perform a great service here, and people need to know that.
And part of it is the people in Central Vermont are just they understand the importance of community,
Yeah.
and they understand the importance of different perspectives and value those perspectives. So ORCA's a great place to be able to come and have those dialogues and talk about the issues that
So
are.
now, the structure of public access, there's the entity that we testified for, which was
The Vermont Access Network,
Vermont Access
or
Network.
VAN, we just
VAN,
refer to it.
and then you're a member of VAN.
We are.
And then there are how many public access TV stations around Vermont?
24?
24. And you can each share.
We do.
There's, and I always forget the name of it, but there's a
Vermont Media Exchange.
the media
Yeah.
exchange where people can pull down and take my show or do whatever. And so you share in each other's.
This was
Tell us.
technology changes. In the mid-2000s, I was working on it with VAN, and the idea that it used to be, if we got tapes, it was a videotape that was they call it bicycle. When they would bicycle across, but it was like
cool.
you'd actually deliver a tape, and the stations were actually playing tapes. That's how that's how you did video.
How old are we, Rob?
I'm old enough to remember the big
Yeah,
3/4 inch tapes that we used to play when I first got involved in public access in 1992, 30 years ago now. it was 3/4-inch tape, and then, I'd have to, and I had 4
Wow.
decks, and I'd have to remember to go plug in the 4 decks to load the tape and queue them up.
Nice.
And then, we transitioned to files, and computer digital-based file and
Right.
distribution. So that meant that we had the ability to be able to share content over the internet. So we developed this platform called VMX, or Vermont Media Exchange,
Yeah.
where the van community could share content across the state. So it
Yeah.
just became a,
Now that I know we can count how many times are, because
right.
we're big on numbers and Vote for
Yep.
Vermont. We want to know what shows. 15 or so has been on.
you can certainly know how many have downloaded.
Exactly. So we know how many, and I'll write letters to them saying, "Hello, don't forget us. Please download the shows."
Yeah,
if
so
there's something.
each access center across the state has different rules. They're run by their own board of directors
Right.
and their own executive director and their own staff. So some will take, some of the smaller centers will take anything because they're looking for content. So they don't have the resources to produce a lot.
Right.
So if a small center, say up in Hardwick or in Windsor, they're using VMX all the time. So we sort of look at them as people who bring content. And then there's the sort of bigger access centers who are not necessarily looking for content, like the Burlington centers or Rutland. They get a lot of content, so they tend to be the ones who contribute content. But that doesn't mean that they can't be somebody. Like some of the access centers will require a local sponsor. So that, in Burlington, if you wanted to get your show played in Burlington and you're producing in St. Albans, you'd find somebody in Burlington who will say, "This is an important show. I think it's important for
Right.
the community. I'd like to sponsor it to be played on the channels in
Yeah.
Burlington."
Well, I make sure that if there's a Joe Benning who's running now for Lieutenant Governor up north in the Northeast Kingdom, if he was on the show, I will call that station and say, "Hey, local boy, on the show, so you should run it."
Yeah.
Of course, now he's running statewide, so I don't know how. I'm not making all those phone calls, but
Right.
just from his own backyard, I'll promote their shows so that they know to play it. But I'm sorry.
I was just going to add that we also now have Vermont Community Television, which is the statewide HD channel. So, beyond, or kind of like as a project of, VAN and VMX, is now there is this statewide cable channel that all of the community media centers can contribute to. So you can tune into that and you could see Vote for Vermont or a show from Brattleboro.
Now,
or
how does
Burlington.
that work? They'll pick and choose, and
Yeah,
who are they? Who?
So VAN, it's a project of VAN.
Ah.
And so there's a committee called the VMX Committee, although they're looking to rename it because now they're moving beyond VMX to
Right.
actually.
I even know what that is. I mean, do I get a prize? I know what it is.
So that committee developed some programming guidelines. It was like, obviously we can't play everything. It's not a public access station, but the
Right.
idea is that it's showcasing some of the good stuff that's happening across the state. We wanted to make sure that we're pulling from different regions. And then, so they actually hired a staff person to actually manage the scheduling of the channel. And that's a woman out of Windsor, the director at Windsor, got the job. And so now she's looking at the VMX content that people are putting up there and saying, all right, this seems to be of statewide interest. This is not
Right.
the
Oh,
local
okay.
select board,
All right.
so it's got to be of statewide interest. And the benefit that Christopher mentioned is it's in high definition. So, it's been a long fight for access centers to be able to get into high definition because most people who watch television now are watching high definition, and the cable companies have been resisting it. So that they're saying that it's still standard definition for R3 channels. And so it's been a long ongoing conversation with the cable companies as when can we be able
Switch
to
over,
distribute it
right.
to high definition, because you can't even buy cameras that are not high definition. We can't buy standard definition. So we actually have to dumb down our videos to be able to get it to the Comcast channel.
Yeah, like this show right now is being produced
dumbed
in
down?
HD. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe that's not the
So,
right,
yeah.
lower resolution.
Well, I know we did a PSA
The
for
quality.
WCAX, and I think that was a little challenging because of the definition. Is that correct? I think watching Zachary. Oh no, he said no. I'm wrong. Oh, that was
Different issue?
Yeah, that was different. I just thought you just couldn't run a PSA and show it on WCAX, but we were doing that for the USS Vermont.
Oh, yeah.
So it's become a mainstay of my show.
Yeah.
I love that boat.
Yeah.
Ship. Oh.
And just so you know, all the stuff on our website is high definition, so you can get it, if you're...
Oh, I see. Okay, so if I had like Joe Benny running for lieutenant governor, that's a statewide issue, and people in Bennington should want to hear
Yeah.
Joe Benning. So I would contact them with the statewide
Well, you could do it
positions.
through us and say, we'd say, this is, we're going to load it up to Vermont Media
Okay.
Exchange, and then, we think this is
Yeah.
of statewide interest, so it would
Because
be.
I would do the auditor, the treasurer, and those state elected positions, plus the legislature, and now in Congress
Yeah.
for
And that's-
the House and the Senate.
I was just going to add that work is already happening. That's part of what we do. Is that like Rob's saying is we kind of look at your show and say this is of statewide interest.
Right.
So you don't have to.
Oh, okay. So
necessarily do that.
you would
Yeah.
take care of that for me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, it's cool because we do once the word gets out that we're doing interviews.
Yeah.
Whoa, it doesn't stop, and it's very hard to, because I usually do way more than Thursday nights because
This
you
is
can't, during it's
The
coming
statewide
this,
election?
Yeah,
Or you focus on the statewide
I
stuff.
do. I focus on the House and the Senate,
Yeah.
and then any of the statewide elections.
Across the state, you're pulling from
Yeah.
candidates?
Yep,
Yep.
yep. Anybody can come on, and
So if there's 150 people in the House, and
I killed myself. Ask Zachary.
and there are probably candidates for all those positions, you're
Yes.
talking.
See, you
Yes.
need a corporate sponsor
Well-
for your show.
Well, I give them the I write 4 questions if it's 15 minutes. I give them 4 questions, and I make everybody answer the same questions, so we're not playing politics.
Yep.
And they're welcome to come on. But the the ones like Peter Welch, and I do spend a little more time just because of the breadth of their responsibility.
And you do the federal.
I do the federal too.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we keep busy. So that's why I threw it in there. I said, you remember people, you showed up at my show for when you were running.
Yeah.
So, and what's your input into VAN? Do you sit on the board? Do they ask your input about what you need?
So I actually do sit on the board
Oh,
of
good.
directors of VAN. I've chaired the committee that did the statewide channel, Vermont
Oh,
Community
good.
Television. So I've been a past president of the
Cool.
VAN community. So yeah, we're very involved. I've been somebody who believes the network is important, and knowing what's going on, and sharing knowledge across the state
Yeah.
is an important part of it. So yeah, ORCA is very involved in VAN. A lot of the work, 15 years ago, I noticed that when I was the director at Burlington for the public access station, I noticed that it tended to be the 3 directors from Burlington coming to Montpelier to do it. And so we've worked to try to bring people up and getting them engaged and involved. It can be hard for the smaller centers where it's a one-person shop.
Right.
So they don't have the ability to take an afternoon off and come up and testify. So, the bigger centers do have the resources to be able to do it. And now one of the things that I did when I was president was to sort of make the dues to VAN to be progressive. So when I first got there,
Oh,
each
so
access center was
littler.
paying
Yeah.
$100 each. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I come from a big center in Burlington with this big budget. I should, so we made it based on percentage
Graduated.
of your,
Good.
which increased VAN's budget and the ability to do some of the work that they're doing. So it's even gotten to the point now where we're actually able to hire some staff. And so that was where we were able to get
Nice. That woman to come
Paula,
in.
and us, actually Christopher has also been hired part-time for
Nice.
VAN.
Thank you, Van.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's great.
Yeah, Paula. What's Paula's last name?
Wedding?
Oh, okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Paula's I'm
WOA.
thinking about is from the Rutland station down there. She and her husband, Paula Lannon.
No, this is
okay.
this is in Windsor, just on the
Oh,
Connecticut
Windsor.
River.
Oh,
Yeah, on the
okay.
Connecticut,
All right.
Connecticut River. Yeah.
Do you get to meet? Do you know? If you need help, you can call up
Oh,
down
yeah.
in Windsor and go, "Hey, help me out."
Yeah.
It's
Do
a
you?
big community.
It's a
yeah.
tight knit group.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. When I was president, I actually traveled and to meet all their boards.
Good for you.
Yeah. So I love driving around Vermont. It's
Yeah,
not
right.
I can just get in the car.
All right,
and
I'll
go. But it was wonderful to meet the different people and meet the different boards and let them know what VAN is doing for them. Many of them didn't know, so it was just an opportunity to sort of bring up the exposure of VAN and let them know that what we're basically doing is it's shared knowledge and it's advocacy at the statewide level. So
That's great. Good job. I've just sort of Lost Nation Theater for some reason because you were talking about the kids and production and stuff. Do you deal with them at all, Lost Nation Theater?
Oh, yeah,
And
I
there's
mean,
one
Lost
in Wastefield.
Right, that's I forget, Players House in which
Yes, yes,
the
and
Lost
the-
Nation Theater has been, I think, our friend and neighbor
Oh,
for a long
they're
time. Yeah, I
wonderful.
mean, we've always supported them with media production, and I went and just in 2019, I think I recorded a performance that they did, and my son helped. And
Oh,
so
did you?
it was
Nice.
yeah. And you served on the board over there
did.
too. So
I did too years ago. Yeah.
They're great. And yeah, that's definitely one of our community partners.
Nice. They are amazing over there with what they do with the space they have. Their production sets are, I think they're award winning.
It is-
just a space this big and they turn it into something amazing with just a few pieces of wood, and you have to use your imagination sometimes, but it's amazing what they
do.
do.
Quality work.
Yeah.
And I have a background in theater, and so it's just been wonderful to be able to see what Kim and Kathleen have been doing on in small Montpelier, Vermont.
Yeah.
They're doing like regionally quality, it's well known throughout the whole Northeast.
And they're talented in their own right, those two.
It's wonderful to watch them, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's good. And they've got great support, the Blue Cross Blue Shield, National Life. All these people, whenever it's been a little tight for them, they just sort of pick up the phone and the support's there, because it's just a great Saturday night or Thursday night or whatever to go and experience it.
And we do work with other theaters. We've done stuff with Unadilla, which
Unadilla.
is up in Calais, I believe.
Yeah.
And so,
Calais, right?
So, and any artist, we do a lot of stuff. We have a fellow here, Jerome, who does work with Bread and Puppet. So he's been doing some wonderful capturing of Bread and Puppet,
Nice.
some of the pieces that they've been doing. So,
Great.
so yeah, arts and culture and community is all.
It's all over here. We have artists, musicians. I know you have a poetry. What is that show about? I've not watched it, and it says poetry here. Let me look and see. Poem City.
So Poem City is a project of Montpelier Alive, I believe, in Montpelier.
Oh, is that when they put the poems?
Yep.
Oh,
in
nice.
April. So and then Kellogg Hubbard would have poets come and read some of their poetry.
Yep.
So we would work with Rachel at Kellogg Hubbard.
Oh, nice.
And just have a camera there to be able to capture some of these events.
That's great. We're very lucky, aren't we, to be here? And we're lucky to have you guys here, and that's what people need to know. And I don't know how we can help you get this word out.
Well, what you're doing right now is a
You're
big,
doing a
we
great
have-
job. Yeah,
well,
I think that.
The more you know about what you provide,
Right.
and it's free. Have we mentioned that?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it's free.
Oh yeah.
And of course, I had to buy my own thing, but that's okay.
And I like to say the price is you actually have to produce something that we get to play on our channel.
There you go.
So it's not like
Is it-
you get to come borrow equipment and tape your wedding.
No, I can't do that.
You could if you wanted to put your wedding on the channel.
Oh, I see. There's a catch. You
Yeah.
have to share your life with the world.
So it's the idea is
I'm
that
not
you're
getting
using
married anytime soon, so
you
don't
have to
worry.
use
about
our
it.
resources to produce content that we can put on our distribution.
Well, that's fair.
Most people who put the time and effort into producing
Yeah.
something want it to be seen.
What's been your favorite thing to produce? What have you done? I'm sure it's got to
Oh, my
involve
gosh.
kids, because out of the mouths of babes.
Yeah, actually, I love working with young people. I think, I love working with people of all ages. Just, the education stuff is huge for me. I think the most meaningful thing that I've been able to do with ORCA Media was when this was in 2017, we had some activists and migrant farm workers were detained by ICE, and we were able to
Here in Vermont?
Here in Vermont,
Why
and
am I shocked?
so Migrant Justice is a nonprofit that advocates for our farm worker
Right.
community and our immigrant community in Vermont, and so I had a connection with folks there, and they called me as someone from ORCA Media to come and cover the
Nice.
events that unfolded, and it was several days of actions that took place at the State House, and so it was. I felt like it. I was able to contribute through
Nice.
media.
Well,
to help
how people wouldn't be there, generally speaking.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're down in Bennington or wherever, they
Yeah, it was
wouldn't
really
get the
amazing.
opportunity to see politics in action. Or,
Right. Exactly.
good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they've wanted to be heard
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
willing to speak up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's great.
As you speak about Vermont, it's a wonderful place to be able to have that access to your local. Just as another anecdote, I remember being in the line at the post office in Burlington, and Governor Cunin was a couple lines
There you go.
behind me, and I just wanted to turn through and just like,
Hey, Madeline.
don't you have people to mail your stuff, Governor?
Yeah. No, they just do it.
They do it, and
Yeah.
then Bill Doyle was like that. I was like, so Bill, just have your staff, give us a call. And he's like, I just want to tell you something, Rob. We don't have any staff.
We don't. So what are your plans for the future here? Do you have anything exciting? New building. You've been here, what, a couple of years now?
It's 2 years now. And actually, the difficulty is that we moved up here like weeks before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So we had all these plans to have an open house, invite people in here to showcase it, to develop the partnership with the Vermont College of Fine Arts.
Yeah.
And we haven't really been able to do that yet. So it's kind of been putting on hold, but we're here and we're operating. But we'd like to be able to build that partnership with VCFA. They do some wonderful, that's Vermont College of Fine Arts.
Oh, of course. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're, so they have residencies, musical. I know Christopher's been talking to them about their film program.
Great.
So getting involved more with them would be something that we think.
You've got the bridge down the hall here, so you got free publicity.
Yeah, so
That's great.
We're working with them. Bill also doing stuff with the Times Argus. So it's just building on the partnerships, increasing that knowledge of people.
Yeah.
As I said, really we would like to increase people's ability to come train and learn here. So
Right.
we're working on maybe developing some seminars, regular seminars,
Great.
where people can come and learn about how to produce. I think that storytelling, that nonprofit consulting, is an area that we can expand on as well.
Because that's a big thing here in Vermont. They have a lot of contests over the years where, you get up and you tell a story. I remember there was a restaurant over in Main Street upstairs that they would do that. I was there imbibing more than once, listening to people, and then you'd rate them on how well they did.
Like the Moth Story Hour.
Exactly,
yeah,
just how to tell a story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
we
who knows?
have the videos. It's called Extempo.
Do you really?
really?
Yes, we
Oh,
do.
that's this. I saw this on the
Yep.
list. I didn't know what that was either.
That's the storytelling that was happening, very much based on the Moth program.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Because
Yeah.
that's a real knack to know how to set it up, how to bring it to conclusion, and
Yeah.
get your point
It's
across.
actually one of my favorite podcasts is the Moth.
Oh, that's
I just
Yeah.
keep talking till it makes sense.
Well, and
That's
this
my
is a
style.
venue too, so I think
Yeah.
people can utilize us as a venue, just like the upstairs bar.
Right.
Like we can have people come in and do storytelling. They could do a play. We could have a band in here
Yeah,
and play too.
just instant theater.
Yeah.
And so
That'd be
that
great.
was an
What
idea
fun.
was, we could do live from the studio here on Friday nights or something like that, where
Mm-hmm.
we have musicians that come in. And so that's something, we'd like
Because
to.
we have people in this state, musicians that are beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, they're amazing. The level of professionalism
Yeah.
and talent.
We could do
is
a musical guest on your show.
There you go. So let's talk about ORCA and the structure around Vermont.
Sure.
Because I mentioned Unadilla, and I was in my head. I was surprised that you went up that far. So where is your
Service area?
Yes.
So, it's funny, it's really driven by the cables and how they were laid by the cable company.
Oh, interesting.
So there's a head end, and for technology, there's a head end, and then they run the cables down the main roads. So for instance, there's a different access center in Barrie than there is in Montpelier, even though we may sort of share the community of interest,
Right.
but it's different cables. So, and
That's
it's in fact
CCTV, right? Isn't that
CVTV,
That's
yeah.
CVTV, right?
Central Vermont Television.
Yeah.
And actually, Barrie's unique in that it has a different cable company entirely. It's not even a Comcast. There's two access centers that are charter communications, which
Oh,
is
right.
St. John's
That's right.
Barrie and Barrie.
That's right.
But so these service areas are driven by these lines, which kind of makes it weird. I mean, we actually serve Randolph because the cables from the Berlin head end from Comcast go right down Route 12
Interesting.
all the way to Randolph and Rochester. And we serve Waterbury. So we have 14 towns in central Vermont.
Yeah.
And we actually have sort of that southern tier little bit of it that's Randolph and Braintree and Rochester and
Cool.
Bethel, I think is the other one. So,
Royalton?
Not Royalton.
Oh, not Royalton.
Not Royalton,
Sorry.
no.
Wow, that must be some map.
Yeah, and so actually somewhere around here we do have the maps of the service areas where people are trying to put that out on a map. And there's the mom and pop ones. There's like the Waitsfield Telecom,
Right.
which does just Mad River Valley. There's
Yep.
a couple towns in there, and so it's really just driven by those lines, and but not that and that's why we share. I mean, we go and sometimes cover stuff in Barrie. They take a lot of our stuff from the State House. We worked with Studio
Right.
Place Arts
right.
in Barrie.
Yeah.
So
Cool. So we were talking about people don't just come in and go, hey, let's do a show.
Yeah.
Like the Our Gang Comedy. You have to dole out or sparse out your resources. You only have a finite resources. So how do you say, and then there's people pushy like me that just show up and bug Zachary. But I do love it here, I must say.
We love having you.
Thank you. I feel like it's my home away from home.
So, I mean, the overall idea is that we're equal access for everybody.
Right.
So even the channel time, if there are more people producing shows, and we look at it and we'd have to say, well, we have to pull back some of your playbacks because there's now more demand for the time on the channel. There's only 24 hours in the day.
Right.
So if somebody comes with an additional programming, we may have to reduce it or something like that. And there's only so many Zachs. We would love to have Zach, spending all this time.
But you do have a list, because I remember using this list, and I would pay out of pocket. I would hire guys
so
that would come with me to.
Yeah.
I did a thing up in Thunder Road one time, and I hired somebody to come from here, so they knew the procedures.
So it's an opportunity for the people who are part-time to be able to augment and increase their skills.
Yeah.
We do say, they can use our equipment. Because we see value to the fact that they're learning how to make stuff,
right,
make video. But absolutely, we'll try to get you in touch with people who you may be able to hire. So you may be somebody who says, I don't want to learn editing at all. I just want somebody to edit it for me. And it's like, well, this person, you may be looking for some extra money. We can hook you up and get you connected.
Because I was doing that a lot for a while, just because I like going outside the studio, going to places.
Yeah,
so
and you're not somebody who likes to get in the computer and start editing, right?
No.
No, you're much more.
But we're a community center, right? So it's like that's part of
it.
Yeah, we have people, that we can network and you can hook you up with. Yeah.
And Christopher's been doing a lot of work on the local filmmakers that are in the area, and being able to maybe connect people and kids who are trying to learn, and so that's part of what Christopher's been doing.
That's great. That's great. So I was thinking of budget when you're talking about finite resources. Do you get money directly from the State House, or does it go through VAN?
Not even. We get it directly from the cable company.
Oh, now see, I know you've tried to explain this to me before, but you want to do it one more time? Maybe it'll sink in this time.
So Vermont's a bit unique in that most areas in the country, the municipalities would negotiate the franchising agreement with the cable company. So, cable company wants to be able to serve a particular town or city. They have to negotiate with the town or city to get a franchise. Vermont's unique in that franchising is done on a statewide level at the Public Service Board, Public Utility Commission.
Right,
now.
They changed their name.
They did.
Yes.
They are the PUC now. So they did some parameters, and it comes from the State House with the Rule 8. And so these parameters are set in place. And then it's up to the individual access centers to negotiate directly with Comcast about the finances. And so, and there's a limit on how much you can take of that franchise fee, which is 5%. And once you get to that,
so you might get more money here than Franklin County or some other place.
Right. So it's based on the revenue of a percentage of the cable revenue. So that's really kind of how it goes. Is we negotiate directly with the cable company. They designate us as they have the obligation to provide public access.
Right.
So they designate the nonprofit to be the ones who fulfill their obligations to the state. So and that negotiation is done.
But you could get money from VAN, because we just asked for money.
That's new.
That's new.
Yeah, as of
I see.
this
That was
most recent fiscal year.
That was an important move then,
Yep.
that you asked for money directly. Good for you guys.
Yeah, so that's how do we distribute money? If we're going to the legislature for money, VAN's been tasked with how do you distribute that. So they're working on that now, because the money that we anticipate getting from the request. And we actually had to go through that with the ARPA funds.
Yep, right.
So we got some money last year or the year before to support the work that we've been doing because we actually had additional stuff we had to do for COVID, and develop hybrid meetings and stuff like that. So there was additional work. And then we got compensated for that. And that money went through the state to the VAN and then distributed through VAN. And I think we got it directly from the state, but it was calculated. The work was done all on VAN's part.
Great. Good. Growing up this industry, and let's hope that people use the services, because that could be a problem, because this really is a valuable service to the community. Do you participate in job fairs and like I've covered, I don't know how many years, I covered the job fair up in Barry City at the Aud, and I would go around and I'd always interview the Wayside, Brian Zaccanelli, and I'd go around and interview people, the darn tough socks and people from HR that I know, and Do you do stuff like that?
We don't do the job fairs. We do are working with some nonprofits whose job is to get it. We work with Vermont Associates, which gets senior citizens or people who are out of the workforce retrained. So we do.
Nice. So what else should we chat about?
Other than to say that we hope that people have learned a lot about what ORCA Media does, and I hope they'll get involved.
Yep.
We can put the information for contact up on the screen. I'm sure we have that ability, right? Don't we, Zach? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the little green line on the bottom,
And
the
if you
lower
just do
third.
a Google search on
Yeah.
ORCA Media, and it would be interesting. Many people wonder what ORCA Media has to do with whales. So
Right.
it doesn't have anything to do with it. Do
What
you know
does
what
it
ORCA
stand
stands for? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Wait, I do know.
Do you?
Wait, oh my God, I do know. I don't know. What
Onion
is
River.
it? Onion. Oh yes, that's right. Onion River. Onion River cable something.
Community access.
Community access.
Media.
Yes.
We'll
thank
put that
you.
on the screen too. And we should say follow us on social media because we're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and YouTube, of course.
I'm on Facebook with you guys.
You,
Yes,
yeah.
right.
So
You're-
we,
you're Facebook.
that's
Do you
a
allow my
lot.
political rantings?
Of course.
Oh, do you?
It's freedom
It's
of
free
speech.
speech.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Thank you. I like it.
It's a way to connect with us too, and to find out what's going on because that's important. And we do have our newsletter too. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to
Great.
find out what's going on here.
Oh, we have to get the word out because this is too priceless to have it start retracting a little bit
Yeah.
because
Good.
people need to know. Excellent. Thank you. Nice to meet you
Thank you
in
so
chat.
much. It's
Thank
great.
you.
It was great
You
to be
knew a
on
little
here.
bit more about me than I'm surprised. I'll have to chat with Rob about that. Every time I'd say, well, I keep them busy, he would shake his head yes. So
I'm just agreeing with you.
obviously my name has been bantied around, but that's okay. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been a fun show for me. I hope you've enjoyed it. And come contact Christopher or Rob, and we'll see you in studio. See you next week. And in the meantime, keep listening beyond the sound bites.